Hey, what up? This is Ree here, Real Motherfuck, back again with another video. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. And don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. I am a professional astrologer. I can help you with anything. And right now, I have a sale on for eclipse readings, which will give you the energy of the next 6 months. It's very predictive and it can really benefit you in the long run by knowing what's going to happen before it happens. So hit me up right now. I'm offering it for $60 off. Okay, let's get into this video. So this video is about the upcoming full moon that will happen on October 9th, 2022. And I'm going to explain all the energy that we'll see around you, in the news, in your family, in your personal life, everything like that. So this is just a general reading. If you want a personalized reading, you can hit me up. I just do it as general as I can for a world prediction. Okay, so this full moon, and what is a full moon? It's coming into completion of something. So it's something that you have been working on since the last new moon in Pisces. Now, the new moon in Pisces happened in March 2022. So kind of think about what happened in March. What did you start in March and what you could be completing now? Because whatever you're completing now is going to be very successful. And I'll tell you what the energy of that is. Also, we have Jupiter that's going to be at 7 degrees Pisces. Now the moon and the sun will be at 22 degrees. So Jupiter is not in exact conjunction or anything, but it's conjunct by sign. So Jupiter is well placed in Pisces and it's going to feel really good there. And it's not in the same nakshatra or anything, but it's still going to benefit overall. But there are some cautions about that, and I'll get into that also, because Jupiter is abundance, is higher knowledge, it is good luck. So whatever you are completing is going to be completed to a very high standard, and you're going to have a lot of luck into that. Not only is it good, it's going to be very lucky for you. It's an expansion, but it also makes things a lot bigger, or it can over dramatize things. It can expand things to a proportion that maybe we're not ready for. And Pisces is also a water sign. So I'm going to get into that. Things we could be seeing that we're already seeing. This is the energy for the next 2 weeks, but we can also be seeing it happening already. So Revati, it's known as the nourishing nourisher. The name of the god of Revati is called Pushan, and the word Pushha is the one who nourishes, right? And Pushan is a general cow hoarder. That's why it's associated with nourishing. It's people who have this. This is my ascendant, by the way. That's why I kind of know a little bit about this. People who have this end up being nourishers because they were nourished by something else. So for example, like you can't plant crops unless you're doing it to a high standard. Like you're not going to plant crops with bad seeds, because bad seeds equal bad crops, right? So it's whatever you're putting into this thing. So say, for example, the more that you feed your body healthy foods, the more that you're nourished, the more you have energy, the more you have energy to help others. So that's what this one is really about. And it represents the cow, and the cow represents motherhood. It represents being a healer and healing things around you, nourishing things like a mother would do. It also has to do with calves, because in Vedic astrology, a cow represents mother, but in Vedic tradition as well, a calf represents children in that regard. That's why it's known as the cow herder. So it's a person who's taking care of a lot of different things, but they're able to because they're nourished themselves. So, and it's also about the cow, because the cow is able to produce milk and feed the calves, but it's only able to produce good milk for the calves because it was eating right. A well-nourished person needs a really clean source of nourishment, right? So this indicates that you nourish something to the point that you're going to able to see this abundance. You're going to be able to see something to completion that was well nourished, that you put a lot of time into, perhaps. Because the other side of this, the sun is in Virgo and Hasta has to do with using your hands. Hasta has that analytical, detail-oriented type person or type of affair that maybe you were engaged in, and you really looked at the finer details, and because you did that, this thing is going to be coming to completion. And that could also, with Virgo, it could also have to do with maybe something to do with health. It could have to do with working out, because it's like with your hands and things like that. Maybe your diet, things like that. It could have to do with that. That's just one small example. Trying to be general. And also this nourished person, because this person is nourished, they become very beautiful, opulent, opulent, enriched, successful, intelligent, moral. So these are the kinds of words that you could see from something that comes to completion in your life, that comes to you in this way. It's also good for farming. It's good for gardening, finally, because maybe this will help the crops a little bit. It's also good for parenting, caring for dependents, teaching, guiding, caring for animals. So you may see that maybe something that you planted comes with this full moon, like grows during this full moon, and that little seed you planted grows, the most literal example. Or maybe your children, because you were teaching them something, that now can see that success in them, and you're like, okay, good thing I was very kind of hands-on and analytical with this. Also, when it comes to the sun being in Hasta, it's also awakening consciousness in a physical body. It's being able to take that higher consciousness and make it into something physical with using your hands, but it also has to do with it's joining acquisitions to make something become fruitful as well. And the sun does really well in this nakshatra because the Lord is a sun. It indicates its clarity and its long-term success. So this thing that comes into fruition is not just like, for the day. It's going to be a long-term, something you nourish for a long time that will keep going. And that's great. We also have the Saturn square Uranus there that's happening. I made a video about that. You can check that out. But that's the ongoing kind of that energy of like maybe the government or the old ways of doing things, plus with the rebellion and the new ways of doing things. And we've seen this being played out all through 2021. It's happening now again because the square is going more exact. This could also indicate wars and civil wars and things like that popping off. The truth being revealed and people being angry about. But you could check out my video about that. Also, we have Mars square Neptune in this place. So Mars, with this sign, some people may feel as if they're a little unmotivated. This could be something else that's unrelated to this, or maybe something is completed and now you feel unmotivated and you're kind of tired now and you want to chill. Or you could feel kind of unmotivated, or there could possibly be a confrontation by someone who comes to you aggressively, and maybe you had, because Neptune has to do with loss, right? So maybe you had to end this relationship because someone was confronting you, or someone came to you and maybe they're kind of putting you down in a little ways, or making you feel a little defeated at this time. Like this happens every 6 months, so it's not really that big of a deal, but it's not something that happens every day, but it passes. Like let this pass, right? Don't let people get to you. It's just the energy of it. It's most likely a challenge because it's a square. The worst it could be, it's like you feel a little less optimistic. Well, just go chill and relax for a little bit, because Neptune is also delusion. So just because you feel that way doesn't mean that you should be less optimistic. It's still going to work out. Things are still good for you. Having Pisces there with the moon, the full moon, and then having Jupiter, it kind of reminds me of a lot of times we see flooding or disasters that have to do with water when Jupiter is in Pisces, because it's expanding the water. It's making it more abundant. And sometimes that's too much water for the planet to handle. So be careful. Hurricanes and things like that, that definitely can be something that we'll see, or flooding perhaps. I was also thinking maybe high gas prices could come to a head, like where it gets a little bit higher, maybe. That could be a possibility. Hopefully not. That could be a possibility as well, because Pisces is gas. That's all I was thinking. And be careful when you're going out not to overdo any drugs or alcohol. This is a common occurrence with these Pisces full moon, especially Jupiter there, because you're gonna drink way more than you expected to. Bars, clubs, nightlife will be probably super busy, but be careful of those drunks coming in. Say if you work there, you're a waitress or something like that, or a waiter, make sure that there's going to be a lot of more crazy people. Like there's a lot more crazy people that come out usually on full moons anyways, but this Pisces people will probably be a lot more intoxicated coming up in these next 2 weeks, but you'll be super busy, so you'll probably make a lot of money. Some places that could be affected with this good energy of completion, or any of the other things that I said. This could be North Africa, Alexandria, Egypt, Cleveland, Ohio, Europe, Florida. So like I said, be careful the floods in the water like we're seeing now. There could be more. Also Normandy, Nebraska, and the Polynesian Islands, just kind of like a warning for that. I didn't look into the chart, but this is just Piscean energy. Also, anyone who deals with any kinds of liquids, we could see possibly something to completion that has to do with something to do with liquids, something, or it could be alcohol, it could be beverages, it could be anything all the way to gas, something that comes to completion, maybe some kind of deals if you work in these types of industries. I'm just being very vague. Also, to be careful of heavy crime, because there's going to be a lot more crime also with full moons, always more crime, but emergency rooms go up the most on full moons, which is crazy, but very, very understandable. And Pisces has to do with crime and criminals as well. It has to do with kind of hidden crime. So be careful of these. We might see a very high crime rate, a lot of crime just because Jupiter is there too. So that's going to expand this as well. So that's another thing to be cautious of. We'll probably hear in the news. But I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next time. All right, thanks.